Good evening and welcome to another episode of Chasing Hope with me, Catherine Abraham. A couple of years ago, I was walking down the road back from college. I heard a loud screech from behind and a woman says, "Stop." I turned around to see an elderly lady running towards me. The suddenness with which she approached me as I looked at her quizzically had me startled for a moment. "Don't walk on that side, beta. It's a bad omen." She pointed over my shoulder to a shortcut route that I had decided to take on the road back home. I stopped for a moment and wondered what was she talking about. Anyways, I told myself it's better not to go that road, and I instead kept to the regular route. As Indians, and most importantly as third or fourth generation city dwellers, we often forget reason and rationale when it comes to society. Our topic today is superstition. Are you a marketer or the market? This poses a quintessential question that we as young people must ask for better sense to prevail. Do I easily fall for superstition? Do I blindly believe what someone else says? Or do I also question it? As someone who has grown up in a society where we had a cross section of beliefs and faiths, we would have a lot of people talk to us about how they would overcome challenges in the form of economic and financial problems. And this was done how? This was done by warding off evil. And how did they ward off evil? Right from keeping green chilies and fresh lemons on their path, ensuring that a black cat doesn't cross your path, and also ensuring that you did not trample upon any colored lemon along with some chilies. Why? Because there was a higher chance that you'd get possessed. At least this is the version that I was fed with growing up. Scary as it may have sounded back then, I do find it quite hilarious now. People are happy to indulge in the idea of superstition and irrational beliefs. And then that brings me to another question. Why? Why do we fall prey to all of these small superstitions? And that's when I come to the realization that perhaps it's our coping mechanism. It's a way of telling ourselves, it's a way of justifying what just happened. I come across a lot of people, and many a times, whenever someone's going through a very, very difficult phase, there are but two reasons. One, God is angry with me. Or two, I may or may not have done something that I was meant to do. The question is, why would God be angry with you in the first place? When we as Christians read the Bible itself says that God made man in his own image. Now, if I am that important, that God made me in his own image, what could I have possibly done to tick him off so badly that he brought doom in the form of financial problems, parental problems, children problems, and so on and so forth? And that's when I realized that that's not the answer at all. God generally answers. In fact, he always answers. Not generally, but he always answers. The problem is that not always is the answer in sync with the answer we want from him. So in this entire time of battling it out with the divine, we like to look at some shortcuts. We like to look at some detours in the form of horoscopes. A couple of years ago, I recall reading my horoscope, something which was very popular among young college goers. And that particularly damp August morning, as I was prepared to leave for law school, the ominous horoscope read, "Beware, trouble will come your way." As I left home, lo and behold, I tripped on the way to the bus stop. And as I tripped over a stone, a bus rammed into me from behind. I didn't get hurt, but it was enough to leave me rattled and shaken from within, because I'd missed just by an inch. I decided to hop into a more convenient rickshaw, but realized that the traffic had held us for almost 20 minutes more than usual. Everywhere I turned, it seemed to be a disaster. And when I finally managed to reach my class, I realized that I had missed the attendance by exactly 1 minute. My roll number was 3 and the teacher had called on roll number 5. And when I told her that this was my problem, she said, "That's not my problem. You should have left your home earlier." And so I missed the attendance despite sitting for the entire class. Inadvertently, I began to believe in that horoscope that day. All these years later, now I realize that I had conditioned myself into believing that the horoscope was right. Now, I went about the day as though someone had just smacked me in the face, and almost everyone I knew commented on how silly it was of me to go ahead and talk to the professor about something that needed to be considered, but she had completely refused. I went home with a sullen face, turned off my phone, and went off to sleep. When I woke up, I felt a little refreshed, didn't quite feel quite up to it, but I went off for dinner. And that's when my dad asked, "What's the matter? Why are you so silent today?" I told him everything. And I also told him about the horoscope in the newspaper that day. He looked at me for a minute, sat there silently, and then I heard two voices burst out laughing, the other being my mother's. He said, "Just because you read something somewhere doesn't really mean that it has to be true. It's just a plain coincidence. Millions across the world share your horoscope. Of course, out of those millions, many would not have faced anything today. It would have been just another dull day at the office." Now, at that point in time, it dawned on me that yes, it could have been a silly coincidence. But yet, something was nagging me. So many terrible things had happened that day. And just a few minutes into my conversation with Dad, as I was still grappling with the reality of things, my phone was abuzz with calls and messages. I wondered what had happened, so I hurriedly checked, waiting for another bad news just to prove that Dad was wrong. Instead, I was proved wrong because I was greeted by friends and teachers saying that I had been selected for a very important discussion with the principal and I had to report the next day with a proposal in hand. The next message that came through was about a dear friend sending me my favorite watch since my birthday was just a few days away. Suddenly, I was beaming. The musings, the ramblings, the coincidence, the hesitation to believe what Dad had said was now completely gone. I was cheerful for whatever was left of that particular day. Now, here's the thing. As people of faith, and here I mean any faith, how can we believe in another flawed human being? Many of you are very aware even of the concept of a confession. So for those of you who don't know, a confession is when a person who has committed an error, a grave deed, misdeed, goes off to the church and confesses to a priest and tells him that, "Father, I have done this, and this has been a grave mistake on my end." Now, while the acknowledgement of that sin is correct, the person to whom we are acknowledging it is wrong. Because by and large, we are all flawed human beings. And while we may have been designed to be in the image of God, do remember that we're still human beings and we still have human flaws. And therefore, whether it's a superstition that you believe in that has been planted in your head by someone whom you have never met before and you'll never meet in the future, the same problem is manifested when you go ahead and speak up, confess your sin to another man. Instead, a rather easy and straightforward way of doing things is, if you know that you've made a mistake, if you know you've committed a sin, why not communicate with God directly and ask Him to forgive you? Why is that so difficult? Why is the easier route in our faith always the last to be accepted? Why is it that we find it easier to talk to another human being, but equally difficult to take our problem to God? The reason is we are a distracted lot. We love to be distracted. We want a reason to be distracted. And these distractions come to us in different forms. Whether it's a horoscope, whether it's someone inspiring us to go confess, all of these are unnecessary additions to our lives. A very hygienic life is one where you not just take care of your physical being, you take care of your mental and emotional, and most importantly, your spiritual well being. When you connect with the divine directly, you're creating a clean space, a safe space to connect with the divine. You ask God to help you out, to repair and mend those broken edges of your life. You ask Him to forgive you for the wrong that you've committed. And then you also ask Him to guide you and keep you out of harm's way. Whenever we are tempted to go and indulge ourselves into these tiny aberrations, all that we need to do is knock ourselves to reality. So the next time you feel tempted to go and check what your horoscope for the day says, how about instead use this as an experiment? Go ahead, pray, and just open your Bible randomly to a page. And believe it or not, I've tried it. And whenever I've tried this method, I have found an answer to my problems, the reason for why I might think that I'm suffering but I'm not, and I'm just going through a phase. God answers. But just like how a teacher would wait for the student to ask a question, God also waits. He wants you to ask Him that question for Him to give you an answer. And if you're not asking anything, then why expect your answers? We need to grow up and we need to grow within our faith. When you think about realigning yourself, there are multiple ways of connecting with God. But for all of that to happen, you've got to realign yourself with your faith. That means you've got to go ahead. You've got to be on your knees. You've got to fight your life's toughest battles there. And I can't guarantee you that you'll get an answer immediately, but you will get an answer is the guarantee. We're constantly waiting for an immediate answer. And many a time, God doesn't say yes and God doesn't say no. God says wait. The question is, are you willing to wait? Or do you prefer to go out there, ask somebody, can you please help me mend the problems in my life miraculously? Because no other human being can actually solve your problems. I hope you remember this. All of your problems have a solution. And all of those solutions are within your faith. If you have the faith, you already are 50% there. And if you don't have faith, then make sure you start building on it. A worthy parallel to all of this is, I'm sure you've all seen, at least in India, it's a very common occurrence where you will see these tiny boards. Speak English in 30 days. Speak fluently like a pro in 60 days. And as an English teacher myself, I find myself regularly amused and amazed by the confidence and the audacity with which those boards are hung there. And then I wonder, why did I go off to college, complete all my education, ensure that I did a bachelor's and a master's, and then go forward and do other courses related to English? Why did I ever have to do that if I just needed to put up a board that said, learn English in 30 days? The truth is, my friends, when you put up something like that, you may attract a lot of people, unsuspecting folk, but you're not doing the right thing. In the same way, let's switch places. When we go ahead and we become the market, not the marketer, but the market, that's when superstition also increases. Just as how the numbers of people going to that class only to be dismayed 30 days later because they still can't understand there from there. These are all simple practical problems. Are you willing to change? If you're willing to change, and if this episode brings you hope every time you listen to it, I'd really recommend that you go ahead today and bring some change, some substantive change in your life, and start reconnecting with God on a different level. Start communicating with Him directly. Ask Him questions. Find the answers. Go back to the scriptures. These are the answers for all of your problems. That's when you won't be looking out for shortcuts. That's when you won't be attracted by distractors. And that's when you will have a very, very hygienic spiritual life. So, my friends, if you've enjoyed this episode, please write in to me and let me know what you think. Your feedback is most valued. Definitely go on to our website www.chasinghopewithkatherine.com, and if you have a prayer request or you'd like me to go ahead and feature a question that you've been having for a very long time, please let me know and I'll try to have it dealt with in a subsequent episode. Thanks for tuning in and have a wonderful week ahead.